Hi, thanks for joining me today. We are going to focus on some poses to help build some strength in our muscles so that the muscles can properly support our joints, which helps with our overall mobility. So we're going to start, we don't need any special props today, just your yoga mat. So we're going to start on all fours in table pose. So set yourself up with the wrist under the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips, spreading the fingers wide. So already starting to think of the muscles that are engaged here to support us in this posture. So we're thinking of the lowest ribs drawing towards the hips. We have the crown of the head lengthening forward, so we're working the muscles in the back of the neck and all the way down the spine. We're pressing into the palms, we're pressing into the fingertips, and we're pressing into the tops of the feet. Now curl the toes under. Take a nice deep inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head. As you exhale, lift the knees just a couple inches off the mat for a hovering table pose here. So find your breath, find that full inhale and exhale to support you in this strengthening move. So strengthening through the core muscles and through the arms and through the legs. You should feel the muscles in the legs working, the arms. Another breath, inhale and exhale, and then release the knees back down to the mat. Uncurl the toes. So we're going to work a little bit on extending the leg and the opposite arm to work on core and balance. And a lot of times when we do this, we kind of let the spine kind of undulate as we move, but we want to really think of keeping our core engaged and just letting the arm and the opposite leg extend out without any movement in the spine. So nice deep inhale, extend the right leg back, the left arm forward, and then exhale, release them back down. I'm going to scoot a little forward because I'm hitting my sofa back there. So inhale, right arm forward, left leg back, and come back to center. So we'll do this a few times with the breath. Inhale, extending, and exhale, releasing. Inhale, extending, and exhale, release. So again, opposite arm and leg going forward and back. Good. So we'll do one more on each side. Inhale, extending leg back, arm forward, and then repeating with the opposite leg. And then reset that alignment with the hands. Again, wrist under shoulders, and make sure the hands aren't too narrow here. You know, we don't want the arms to be in here. We want them to be at least shoulder distance apart. Think of that line from the center of your shoulder right down to the center of the wrist, or maybe a tiny bit wider if you need that for your shoulders, but definitely not too narrow. So hands in front of the shoulders, curl your toes under. Oh, actually, let's start in plank pose. That's where we were going. So wrist under shoulders, extend your right leg back and your left leg back. So find that core strength, lengthen through the crown of the head, draw the lowest ribs towards the hips. So we don't want the shoulders to sag down. We don't want the hips to sag down. We want to think of engaging the muscles in the front of the body and lifting them up to meet the muscles in the back of the body. You can always do this with your knees down to the mat if you need a little bit more support for your back. Inhale and exhale. Now draw lower belly in and up, sit bones up and back. Come to downward facing dog. You can bend the knees if you'd like, or legs straight, or pedal through the feet a little bit. Your option, just find a steady breath. We're strengthening again our core muscles, the muscles in the arms and the legs. Now, gently lift the gaze back towards the hands. We're going to bring the shoulders back over the wrists, press through the heels, come back to that plank pose. So control your descent. Don't let those hips sag down. Don't let the shoulders sag down. Inhale and exhale. Now draw lower belly in and up, sit bones up and back. Once again, come back to that downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale. Now inhale, come back to that plank pose. Again, don't let those hips and shoulders sag. Keep lengthening through the crown of the head. So we're not letting the head drop down. Keep that extension through the spine. Now release the knees to the mat. Either keep the toes on the mat or you can crisscross the ankles, lifting the feet up. Nice deep inhale. Exhale, bring your elbows back towards your hips. Lower all the way down onto your belly. Straighten the legs and then extend the arms overhead. palms to the mat, feet a little wider than hip distance apart, tops of the toes to the mat. So same idea of when we were lifting leg and opposite arm when we were in table pose. So inhale, lift the right leg, right arm and left leg. Head can either stay to the mat or you can lift slightly. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lifting right leg, left arm. And exhale, lower down. So keep that going. So we're strengthening the muscles in the back of the body. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, lifting. And exhale, lower. Good. Keep that going. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. And inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. So do one more time each side. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. And inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Good. Now bring your hands beside your chest. Hug your elbows in towards your ribs. Press up to table pose. And from our table pose, let's bring the elbows down to the mat, elbows underneath the shoulders, interlace the fingers, extend the right leg back and the left leg back, come to an elbow plank pose. So think of that same alignment when we were on all fours and in our plank pose with the arms straight. So we're not letting the hips sag, we're not letting the shoulders sag. If you do need the knees down to the mat to keep a little bit more core, lower back stability, you can bring those knees down. Inhale and exhale. Good. Another breath. Inhale and exhale. Now think a little dip of the right hip down and bring it back up. Little dip of the left hip down and bring it back up. Couple more times. Exhale, dip it down, lift it up. Exhale, dip it down. Inhale, lift it up. Good. One more time each side. Exhale, dip a little to the right and back to center. And exhale, dip a little lift to the left and back to center. Now begin to walk the feet in a little bit, send your sit bones up and get back, come to dolphin pose. Those shoulders are over top of the elbows now. Knees again can be bent. Inhale and exhale. So make sure you're not letting the weight crash down into the shoulders. Press into the elbows. Lift up and out of the shoulders. Inhale and exhale. Now release the knees down to the mat. Bring your hands unclasp the hands and then come to your table pose. And then hands again in front, curl your toes under, find your downward facing dog. And again, you can keep the knees bent or pedal through the feet here a little bit. Come to stillness, either with the knees bent or the legs straight. Think of lifting the kneecaps up. Think of drawing that lower belly in and up. Lowest ribs draw towards the hips. So and find those muscles to support you in this downward facing dog. Now bend the knees and we're going to walk to the center of our mat. So hands a little back and feet a little forward. Come to a bent knee standing forward bend. From this bent knee standing forward bend, we're going to come into a chair pose. So send the hips a little further back. Make sure that feet are hip distance apart. Bring your arms forward and up to your chair pose. You can always keep your hands on your hips if you need to, or even hands to the heart. Inhale and exhale. Now pressing into the feet. Inhale, come up to your extended mountain pose. Again, think of all of the muscles hugging the bones here. And then exhale, bend the knees, send the knees out over the toes, sit bones behind you, come to that chair pose. And then let's sweep the arms back, come to airplane arms, palms facing down. Really feel those tricep muscles work in the back of the arm. And then inhale, come forward to that chair pose. Press into the feet, stand all the way back up to extended mountain. Let's do that again. So exhale, come to your chair pose. Sweep the arms back, find that airplane arms, and then sweep the arms back forward in that chair pose, press into the feet, come all the way up to extended mountain. One more time, exhale, find that chair pose, so finding that strength, sweep the arms back, widen through the collarbone, shoulder blades, draw towards the spine, sweep the arms back forward, press into the feet, come all the way up extended mountain. This time bring the palms together, and bring the hands to the heart. Close your eyes, noticing how your body feels, noticing the rhythm of your breath, the beating of your heart. Gentle inhales and exhales. Then a nice full breath in. And a nice exhale out the mouth. And then gently let the hands release down by your side as you open the eyes. So thank you for joining me today for that little flow to focus on really thinking about the strength and all of those poses and all those muscles that are working to support the joints in the body. Because when we working on the quadricep muscles and those hamstring muscles like we were doing in that chair pose, it helps to support the knees and the hips. And when we were working in those plank poses, it helps to support the muscles that help the shoulders. And of course, everything helps the spine. Anytime we strengthen any of the muscles will help with our spinal stability and our ability to move and keep everything in alignment. So thanks so much for joining me. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you sometime soon in the saddle or on the mat. Thanks. Bye-bye.